Yay. I'm so excited to be here with you all today, talking about emotional wellness in the workplace. We have 30 minutes together and a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump in right away. Um, let's start with a little bit about me and what we're going to be doing today. So, hello everyone, I'm Leah Rowe. For those of you who don't know me, I am a life and business coach. I'm an organizational culture consultant, and I am a remote work expert. So, my background is actually in building, developing, and scaling remote teams and cultures. And so, in terms of emotional wellness work, I do that with organizations. Again, my background is in emotional wellness in remote teams. And then, as a life coach, a lot of the work that I do is in this realm of emotional wellness and working with individuals on strengthening their emotional wellness. I'm going to present for about 20 minutes today. Hopefully, I'll try not to go on too many tangents to leave some time at the end for some Q&A. Feel free to ask questions in the chat box. And so that I can see those at the end and answer those. So let's do it. Why are we here today? I'm a big Simon Sinek fan, so I love to always start with why. And the reason why we are here together is because we are not in a normal work from home situation. Many people, many of you included, are remote for the first time or remote only for the first time, meaning even if you've dabbled in remote work here and there, now you're doing it all the time from your house for a while. Also, we're not in a normal work from home situation because it happened very abruptly. So when I work with organizations to become different forms of remote, there is a lot of planning and strategizing that goes into it. We do a lot of work before we actually execute, but companies didn't have that luxury this time around. Things happened really, really quickly. It's also not a normal situation because all of us are dealing with different challenges. All of us have something unique that we are navigating for the first time. Many of us have kids at home with us. My 21-month-old is here. Daycare is closed, so she is with us, and that has been something to navigate. A lot of people are getting laid off, or their significant others are being laid off. Many people are at home and their spouse or family member is an essential worker. So that's something new to navigate. People's friends and family are getting sick. Some people are at home by themselves and dealing with loneliness and isolation for the first time. So if there's one thing that unites us all right now, it's that we all have a new challenge that we've never navigated before in our lives and that we are now working through. So during this time when there is so much uncertainty, during times of uncertainty in general, there's an increase in worry and stress and anxiety. And that's what we're really seeing right now because we're in a totally unprecedented time. And so we need to make some shifts both in our mindsets and in our actions in order to truly do the best that we can right now. We're also here today to talk about emotional wellness, and emotional health in general is affected by individual factors, our experiences, our social interactions, the work environment, and cultural norms, all of which have been totally disrupted in the past few months. So it's more important than ever that we are talking about emotional wellness, that we understand it, that we're taking care of ourselves, and that we're helping others to have positive emotional health at this time. So what is emotional wellness? What do I mean when I say it? According to the National Center for Emotional Wellness, which is a pretty legit source when it comes to emotional wellness, it is an awareness, an understanding, and acceptance of your emotions and your ability to manage effectively through challenges and change. So your emotional wellness is your ability to emotionally cope with challenges in a healthy and productive way. And with all of the new challenges that are being thrown at us right now, it's really important that we're able to cope with these things emotionally in a healthy and productive way. So some traits of an emotionally healthy individual are resiliency. She is able to cope with optimal levels of stress and conflict. Emotionally healthy individuals are self-aware and they can accept a wide range of feelings in themselves and in others. Tolerant of ambiguity, flexibility, and adaptable to change. Also, an emotionally healthy individual maintains a positive approach to life that is rooted in her sense of personal responsibility for and ability to manage her life in personally fulfilling ways. So, resiliency, self-awareness, tolerance for ambiguity, and a maintenance of a positive approach to life are all signs of an emotionally healthy individual. So the bottom line when it comes to emotional wellness in the workplace is if you are emotionally well in your workplace, you are able to sustain a desirable level of functioning and remain fully engaged in work in the midst of various pressures, stressors, and changes. So why is emotional wellness important in the workplace? Let me give you some examples of attributes of emotionally well employees. Emotionally well employees are able to have sustained engagement and motivation to work. They have intellectual curiosity and creativity, so they're able to innovate. They have strong collaboration skills across the board. They have the ability to tolerate ambiguity and adapt to change. According to this amazing report by the National Business Group on Health, you should read it. It's 50 pages long. It's scientific. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's amazing. But they say in there, the ability of a company to excel in the marketplace, to quickly adapt to change, or to be innovative require its people to be physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. We are in a time right now where businesses need to adapt. Businesses need to change. Businesses need to innovate in order to stay alive. So it's so important that their people are well, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's so easy for us at our companies to talk about physical wellness. We have been for years. Emotional wellness is not touched on as much, but it is equally as important as physical and mental health for the wellness of everyone. So here's another little graphic. It's a little blurry. Sorry about that. But I like this one too, of why emotional wellness is important in the workplace. So the first box says human capital is critical to the success of a company. I don't love the term human capital, but I didn't make up the graph, so bear with me. So it's critical to the success of the company. Emotions are a central attribute of all employees, of all people. So in addition to physical and mental health, emotional health is necessary for employees to maintain engagement and to function. And healthy employees are essential to sustain corporate growth. Beautiful. And it all rotates. This is why emotional wellness is so important in our workplaces. So that's what emotional wellness is. That's why it is super crucial to the success of our businesses. So how do we actually do it? And I want to take a step back for a minute, because you can develop a culture of health at your organization, which I definitely recommend that you do, a real focus and priority of overall wellness for your people. But that takes time. That takes your policies, your business practices, your communication methods, everything must support that. And we are at a point right now where we don't have time to do a long-term health strategy. Yes, we do, and we should be looking forward, but I'm really looking to talk about today how to help you and how to help your people right now. So regardless of your company's focus on emotional health up until this point, it doesn't matter if you've been working on emotional wellness and overall health for your employees for years, or if you've never even thought about it. We're going to talk about some ways in which you can promote positive emotional wellness with yourself and your employees right now. Next. Okay. So I have four tips to help you in your emotional wellness in the workplace. The first is to connect and communicate. So daily virtual face-to-face social connection is crucial. Social connection is so important for emotional wellness, and especially in this socially distant world that we're finding ourselves in, it's really important for you to be connecting face-to-face via video with your coworkers on a daily basis. So I recommend for all companies that you have at least 2 touch points during the day in which you are visually seeing each other. I recommend a 15-minute stand up in the morning and a 15-minute stand down in the evening. These can be your whole company, depending on how large your company is, or just small groups, but it's a really good way to have a bookend at the beginning and the end of the day for a time to come together and to visually, socially connect. Again, remember, some people are working completely by themselves, completely isolated. So having this social connection is so, so important. Then weekly one-on-ones between managers and direct reports. If you've been doing weekly one-on-ones in the past, keep doing them. If you are not currently doing them, or you're doing them bi-weekly, start doing them and start having them weekly for right now based on the situation that's happening. It's so important that managers are having that weekly touch base with their employees to really be able to see how are they doing emotionally. So some emotional wellness questions that you can ask in your one-on-ones, starting out by just saying, how are you? When we think about emotional wellness sometimes, or like talking about emotions, we think it's going to be like super soft or super scary in the business world, but that's not true at all. So just asking, how are you? How's your family? What do you need to feel calm or less anxious or the way that you want to feel? And also asking the question, what are you worried about? I asked Steph, my coworker, this a few weeks ago at our one-on-one. I just asked, what are you worried about? And we had this really fantastic conversation. And later on, I asked, how was that one-on-one for you? And she said it was really fantastic because nobody had asked her what she was worried about. And just because nobody was asking didn't mean the worries were going away. But then by being able to have that conversation and get it all out of her head, it then created space for her to actually be able to focus on the things that she wanted to be focusing on and not just running through her worries in her head. So in your one-on-ones with your managers, between your managers and direct reports, make sure that you are asking these questions to check in on emotional wellness. Transparent communication from the top is extremely important right now for employees' emotional wellness. Keeping employees informed of your business direction leaves less room for uncertainty. And again, like we talked about in the beginning, in times of uncertainty, there is more stress, anxiety, and worry. So the less room you can leave for uncertainty, the less stress your team is going to have. I really recommend that you have transparent communication from the top at least twice a week. And also set expectations and follow through. So sometimes people really like to know, they like some structure of when they're going to hear from leadership. So maybe you can say, we're going to send out a video every Monday, and then we're going to meet together as a whole team or a company on Thursday and be able to ask each other questions. But really setting some guidelines for when people can hear from you is really important. And then following through on that. Don't say, we're going to have a meeting every Thursday where you can ask questions and then cancel it. That would not be good for emotional wellness right now. Then also two-way communication is really, really important. Having that feedback loop, encouraging and allowing employees to ask questions, to inquire about the company's direction, to ask about what management's worried about. Having that two-way communication will really help people to feel supported, and that reinforces a culture of positive emotional health. Also, I want to make a note that you are not required to have all the answers. So asking questions, what are you worried about? What do you need? You're not required to have all the answers. That's not your job. But your job as a coworker, as an employee, as a teammate, you have a responsibility to create a safe, non-judgmental space for people. You have a responsibility to ask your team how they're doing, to listen, to value their input, and to take action when you can to make sure that they feel safe, both physically and psychologically. So, tip number 1, connect and communicate. Tip number 2, to have positive emotional wellness, you need to stay positive. And so let me give you some ways in which to do that. I want to talk about 2 specific ones today: shifting your perspective and then practicing gratitude and JOMO. So, shift your perspective. Shifting your perspective means that in any situation that happens, there are a million ways in which we can choose to look at it. And shifting your perspective requires you to acknowledge that it is a choice. You choose how you look at a situation. So situations affect thoughts. A lot of situations that are happening right now are affecting the way that we're thinking. We can choose which thought to take in order to feel a certain way, and then that feeling will drive our behavior. So a way that you can practice shifting your perspective is called the racket and reframe. One of my clients calls it this, and I just love it. So now I'm taking the name from her. So what you do is you write down the racket that's going on in your brain, all of the anxious thoughts, all of the worries, all of the negative, anything. You write down the racket that's going on in your brain, physically write it down to get it out. And then you reframe it. So you write down how you're going to choose to look at the situation. And this is something you should do for you, and also something you should talk with your coworkers about and encourage your teammates to do. So for example, I'd write down the racket, I am a failure. This is something a lot of people are feeling right now. A lot of people are thinking. I know that I felt it working at home with my toddler. I feel like I'm failing as a mom. I feel like I'm failing as an employee because I don't feel as productive as I used to. So this is racket that's going on. Write it down. I'm a failure. Then reframe it. That's not true. I'm not a failure. This is an unprecedented time, and I'm doing a great job. And I have a lot of clients who like to write down like the not true column, or they call it their BS column. So they'll write, I'm a failure. BS, this is an unprecedented time. I'm doing a great job. So this is a really good way to shift your perspective, get that racket out of your brain and reframe it into something positive. Next, practice gratitude and JOMO. So I don't know about you, but I am like super obsessed with reading all of the research on gratitude and all the science behind it and how it actually physically changes our brains and all the positive effects. So research on gratitude has shown that it might be the single most powerful method for increasing our overall well-being. I put this in here just so you can see. Look at all this. This is all the benefits of gratitude. Emotionally, socially, on your career, on your health, your personality. It's insane. It's insane how many positive benefits come from practicing gratitude. And one thing to note about gratitude is a lot of people think that practicing gratitude is just being grateful for the good things in your life. But that's not all of it. Practicing gratitude is also being grateful for the bad things or the not so great things, because you're looking at those things as an opportunity for learning and growth. There was a really fantastic article recently in Thrive Global about being grateful for negative situations in life. And so the author started out with this reflection prompt. I'm grateful that the COVID-19 crisis is an opportunity to blank. And she came up with these different things for her. It's an opportunity to gain clarity. It's an opportunity to get creative and motivated. It's an opportunity to discover our own inner strengths and value. It's an opportunity to remember that we are all connected. So what I want you to do for your emotional wellness is I want you to practice gratitude. I want you to reflect on that question. I'm grateful that the COVID-19 crisis is an opportunity to blank. I want you to write down 3 things that you're grateful for each day. This is something that I do every morning. So I use the 5-minute journal, and in there it has 3 things that I'm grateful for. But I know a lot of people start their morning with gratitude, end their day with gratitude. Whenever you're able to find the time, whenever it works best for you, and it doesn't have to be lengthy paragraphs, you can write down 3 words, 3 things that you're grateful for. Then I want you to practice JOMO. JOMO is the opposite of FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. JOMO is the joy of missing out. So focus on the things that you're really happy to be missing right now, like real pants. I don't know what pants you all are wearing, but I'm definitely wearing sweatpants, and I have for the past few weeks, and I don't miss real pants. You can be joyful that you're missing out on demanding social activities or on commutes. Long commutes are the worst. And don't feel guilty about it. I have a lot of people right now, a lot of my clients who are saying, I'm finding joy in this, or I'm feeling really grateful for this, but it makes me feel like a bad person because we're in a really horrible time. So I shouldn't be finding joy. I shouldn't be, grateful for these things. But finding silver linings, finding joy, practicing gratitude during rough times, it does not make you a bad person. It actually is a sign of really strong emotional health. So don't feel guilty for practicing gratitude. Don't feel guilty for finding joy in what you're missing out on right now. And then in terms of practicing it in the workplace, talk openly about gratitude and JOMO. Talk about the things that you're grateful for. Talk about what you're excited to be missing out on. If you have Slack, you should start a gratitude or JOMO Slack channel for this time that we're in and have people post funny memes and other funny things of what they're grateful for or what they're happy they're missing out on. Make sure you educate your team on the benefits of gratitude and the ease of doing it. It is so easy to practice gratitude. It's completely free. There are so many insane, positive, scientific benefits to it. Google science and gratitude, and you can find a bazillion articles. Then I think that this is a really good time for our companies to reflect on this prompt together. I'm grateful that the COVID-19 crisis is an opportunity for our business to serve our clients in a different way, for our business to get clear on what's actually important, for our business to learn how to balance profits and emotional wellness. It can be a million different things, but I think this gives us a really good opportunity for businesses to come together and reflect on this prompt. Okay, next one is be active. So our physical health affects our emotional health. Physical, mental, and emotional health are so connected. And because we're in this health crisis right now, it's all important, but we really need to make sure we're physically active and physically well as well. So exercise daily. Talk about exercise with your team. Talk about doing it. Do it as a group. I know a lot of companies right now that are doing, lunchtime yoga, whole bunch of stuff. And then I also recommend you do walk and talk meetings. So I know my first tip was on you need to have this face-to-face connection, which is extremely important, but balance that social connection with physical activity. So for example, something that I really like to do, if I'm on Zoom a lot, so if I'm on Zoom all day long and then I have a meeting that I could do on the phone, because we don't need to share a screen and we're not collaborating on anything like that, then I will ask that person, is it okay if we do a walk and talk meeting? So basically we'd both be on our phones and walking outside so we can get that physical activity. And I always like to say to ask the person you're meeting with if it's okay, because for example, if I'm sitting on Zoom and I've seen 50 people during the day, I feel very socially connected. The person that I want to do the walking meeting with, I might be the only person they see that day. So making sure it's okay with that person, but it's a great way to get that physical activity in while you're still working with your team, and getting stuff done. Or you can do it on the treadmill. I know a lot of people that do walking meetings on their treadmills as well. I don't know if anyone does it on the Peloton, but I bet that would work as well. All right, be active. And the fourth tip for your emotional wellness in the workplace right now is to take breaks. You and your team, you and your coworkers, you all need breaks. You all need rest. But working with a lot of organizations over the past 3 weeks, what we're realizing is people don't know what the expectation is for rest and breaks in this new normal. People don't know if they should be having normal weekends, or since like we can't really go anywhere, should we be working? If our work schedules have shifted because our kids are at home, like, can we still take a break or not really, I guess, like people just don't know. So have a discussion with your team. You need to encourage rest to prevent burnout and to keep everyone physically, emotionally, and mentally healthy. And if you have found ways to build breaks and rest and relaxation into your days, talk about what you're doing and when you're doing it. Talk about how you're preventing your own burnout. But we kind of, the discussion piece is so important right now. We kind of have to reestablish what rest, relaxation, and productivity all look like and how we balance it at our different organizations. So those are my 4 tips for emotional wellness in the workplace right now. Again, regardless if you've been building a healthy workforce for years or if you've never talked about emotional wellness in the workplace, these are things that you can all be doing right now to promote positive emotional health for yourself and for your coworkers. I also want to take a minute to note that everyone's situation is completely unique. Everyone's situation is completely unique, and so we need to acknowledge that. One thing that came up in a virtual roundtable we were doing last week was that an organization was asking their individual employees, what support do you need? I love this because they were recognizing that everyone needs different support right now because everyone's situation is so different. And it is a co-ownership. So while you need to own and take responsibility to ask your team questions, to listen to them, to take action when needed, it also needs to be owned by the individual. So you need to encourage your teammates to communicate with you, to communicate when something isn't working or when they need something. We need to be checking in on each other, but we also need to be owning our own emotional wellness and asking for what we need. Also, consider surveying your team. This is something that we've seen to be working really well right now because things are changing so rapidly, and this will help keep a pulse on your team's emotional and overall well-being. And it helps provide clarity on what is needed right now. Again, things are changing so rapidly. And so it helps focus your time and your resources accordingly, as opposed to like not knowing what to do. Because everyone's situation is so different. And this is something we started doing a couple of weeks ago with organizations and have seen huge, really positive impact from it. So if you have any questions or need any help in doing these sorts of surveys, these impact assessments, you can go to our website, choosetheperk.com/impact, and sign up for a 20-minute call with me and we can talk through it. So I want you to remember, we are in a totally unprecedented time right now. You all are doing a great job just by being here today to learn about emotional wellness and how you can help impact yourself and your coworkers is huge. And for next steps, we're actually doing a deeper dive into emotional wellness in the workplace this Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. at Culture Community. You can go to www.culture.community. So we'll be doing, it's an hour and 15 minutes, a lot more time for discussion. So please come to that for a deeper dive. If you want more information on those employee emotional wellness surveys I talked about, go to our website, choosetheperk.com/impact. If you have any other questions or just want to hang out with me, which I would love, email me at leah@choosetheperk.com.